All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Conversations with Caregivers, where we honor the visionaries, healers, and innovators pushing our communities closer to health and care. My name is Kylan Askew, and I'm your host. I'm the co-founder of Criado, and today I'm thrilled to sit down with someone who's not just building solutions, but also rewriting the story of midlife and what that means for all of us. Deniece Griffin is the CEO and founder of Interval Help, the powerhouse behind Smart Menopause, an AI-powered menopause platform and marketplace delivering personalized care, provider visibility, and workplace wellness solutions. Deniece brings more than 2 decades of experience in health, marketing, and movement. She's a certified group fitness instructor, holds a certificate in exercise physiology, and a two-time founder, and a fierce age advocate. Her gift? The ability to draw people in with her approachable style, I concur, all while building a vibrant, supportive community. Denice's career includes incredible moments like serving as the assistant art director for the 1996 Olympic Games right here in Atlanta, Georgia, and leading huge marketing work with brands such as McDonald's and Verizon. So today we're diving into why midlife is not a moment to fear, but a stage to claim with confidence, care, and clarity. And we couldn't be more excited to welcome you, Deniece. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So let's get started. I'm curious, what in I know your background in health and fitness and movement, but what inspired you to really dive into building a solution for menopause specifically?
I would say because for the past maybe 6 years, I have been focusing on like women 40 plus. As I have aged and as it relates to my working out and my fitness routine, I found that I kind of gravitated toward women who were around my age group. So it made it easier for me to carve out a niche among those who are 40 plus. So when I was teaching at the Y, it was always easy for me to teach group fitness classes for women who were 35, 40 years of age because I felt like I could relate to them. So when the pandemic hit, I was kind of pushed into it, and that's kind of why I've been kind of focusing on it from that standpoint.
Mhm. The story started writing itself from that moment on.
That's right. That's right.
Was there a personal or professional moment? I guess you kind of mentioned it was COVID, um,
Mhm.
that kind of aligned you towards this group particularly. Was it COVID or was it just that women in this age demographic kind of started sharing some similar experiences that you also had?
That's exactly what it was. During COVID, of course, everybody was at home, and I launched my virtual fitness business because what I had was a community on Facebook. And when the pandemic hit, I couldn't teach at the Y any longer. I couldn't teach at the gym any longer. No one could go to the gym. So I started teaching one class a week to my Facebook group, and they wanted more classes. And I'm like, okay, if you guys want more classes, I'm gonna have to get some help so that we can have like a studio. And they agreed. And that's what I did. I launched my virtual fitness business called Grown and Fit Studio. And for 3 years, I ran that studio along with two other instructors. We had 5 classes a week. They pretty much kind of shared with me over those 3 years their pain points, and mainly that which was perimenopause or menopause and the challenges that they were facing as it related to their fitness level, their energy level, the symptoms that they were experiencing. So it was it was kind of, like I said, the story told itself. Them telling me their stories basically laid it out for me. So when I decided to, or when the world returned back to some normalcy and everyone started going back to the gym, and I wanted them to go to the gym because we needed to socialize,
Hmm.
I decided to pivot my business and still stay in that niche of women 40 plus, but to really focus on menopausal health. Not so much fitness, so to say, which was before about fitness, but to more about what it takes to take care of yourself, And the whole story of menopause, which there's a lot of taboos and myths about it that are very hard for people to understand. And there's a lot of discomfort when people mention menopause.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that stage, when you were getting started and transitioning from your original studio, what was your level of education or understanding of menopause? I can assume that you probably had like personal experiences, but
Mhm.
I know with women navigating menopause, it's kind of this like thing that just starts and no one has like a real clear, consistent answer.
Yeah.
So what was your level of education and then how did you go about kind of understanding what was going on?
Okay, yes. When I decided to launch my business, I was in menopause. So I had already been through the stage that leads up to menopause, which is called perimenopause. So I have been through it already. And so I knew what to expect, and I could share that with younger women who were going through perimenopause or approaching perimenopause. So as far as my knowledge base, I don't think I knew as much as I should have known when I was going through it. I'm just going to be honest
Mhm.
because that was some time ago. There seems to be more information available today than there was when I went through it. So I would say my knowledge base was not where it should have been. And you can't trust everything you read online. I think we all know that, right? So you really have to kind of go through it and share it with your friends and just kind of figure out what's true and what's not true. One thing I would like to tell your listeners, if they're in this stage, I would tell them to talk to their mothers, talk to their aunts, talk to your grandmother, talk to all the women that are related to you, and ask them about their experiences. Ask them, what did you experience? When did it start? What were your symptoms? How long did it last? How did you handle this when you went through that? Just ask questions because, I didn't ask my mother. I didn't ask. I just kind of assumed I would make it through it. And today I wish I had asked my mother.
Yeah, I actually have a very funny story that you're involved with. It was a few weeks ago. We
Huh?
were together during a session and you mentioned frozen shoulder. And I
Hmm.
was like, wait, what is frozen shoulder? And I looked it up as you were talking about it. I'm like, of course, this is a thing. Women have to go through everything. But then I remembered my mom, it was like a 5 year period where she was having tremendous shoulder pain. And I remember because she was blaming the gym, she was getting steroid shots, the whole nine. But after you mentioned frozen shoulder being a menopause symptom, I called her as soon as I got in the car. I'm like, Mom, did you know that your shoulder was hurting because of menopause? And that actually, she said that towards the end of her shoulder episode, her and her
Uh-huh.
did conclude that it was probably menopause related. And I was like, that's incredible. And I
Yes.
would have never known unless I
I
both
know.
talked to you and my mom
Yes.
in that
Yes.
experience. So
Yes.
that is really good advice. Thank you
Yes.
for that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And just so you know a little bit more about the Criado community,
Okay.
we focus on healthcare education. So we have these conversations with people who we call caregivers. In our network, you're considered a caregiver because you are working in line with furthering the care of the community. And our primary demographic are women between the ages of 24 and 45. So we
Okay.
educate on everything from PCOS to the perinatal period to perimenopause and menopause.
Okay.
And we do that through hands-on workshops and digital education and conversations like this. So the advice that you just gave is spot on and speaks directly to our target market who we're serving. And that actually was one of my questions. If you could give a word of advice to a group of women in this space, what would you do? So yours would be to talk to your family.
Mother, talk to your aunts. Yes.
Perfect. Wow. So I'm curious. I want to go a little bit back to when you also first got started. When you were even teaching group fitness,
Mhm.
what gave you the confidence to say, this is something that I want to do? And how did you navigate communicating with women on such a large scale?
I think it was my desire to want to be helpful. When I kept hearing these stories, knowing that I had been through it already, realizing that I could be a source for someone. I felt like I could be that person who could decipher the information that's being shared online, or I could put it in a location where everybody could go to it and access it. I just felt like I was that conduit to be able to since I already had them in my community. I felt like I should take advantage of that and really share the knowledge that I had. So I think it was just knowing that I wanted to help them, because I've always wanted to help women in particular. And the classes that I always taught, I always, kind of catered to the women, although the men were a part of it. It was group fitness, but it was still, I'm a female, so I kind of always leaned that way. So, yeah, just wanting to help women once I realized that I could be of value and that was something that I could do. I wanted to do it. I felt like I had the training to do it. My background is in marketing and advertising, and I have a graphic design background. So I felt like I could be a person that could help and bring that all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And with your background, what were the things that you either had to learn or unlearn in making that transition?
I think I had to learn more about the medical side of what we were doing, because I didn't know that side. Healthcare, I didn't know that side of what we were doing. I knew what I experienced, and I knew that I had a doctor and I had an OBGYN. I knew I had all those components, but I didn't know how the network works or the industry works. So I had to really learn and dive into that to make sure I understood how things were progressing as it related to the industry and how it would impact the women in the industry. There's a lot of movement right now in menopause care as it relates to policies and things like that, to make sure that women are being treated fairly, and that we're just considered in all areas as it relates to healthcare.
Mhm. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about smart menopause. How did you get the idea that you wanted this to be a technology solution, and where are you at today?
Okay, yes, I'm excited to talk about smart menopause. Um, like I mentioned, I've kind of iterated from one thing to the other, and as you know, as a founder yourself, things change over time, and I just I realized that I had to move in a certain direction, and I needed to kind of make sure that it was technology savvy, or from the standpoint of something that women could access easily. The resource that I told you about, I wanted to make sure there was a resource available to women. So I realized that this demographic was already using their phones.
Mhm.
They were already using their phones to track their periods. They were already comfortable with technology and tracking different things, fertility, all of those things. So I said, why don't you just go ahead and make it a technology solution? And plus, when I had Grown and Fit Studio, it was virtual. So I used a lot of technology with that. It was subscription based, but it was all technology
Mhm.
enabled. So it was easy for me to move that direction because I had done my previous business. So yes, the app itself is called Smart Menopause. I wasn't sure if I was going to use the word menopause in it. I thought, I couldn't decide, but then again, I said, yeah, let's go ahead and put the word in there. So right away, people know what we're talking about.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad I did, because that way I don't have to explain too much. Yes, so Smart Menopause is a platform that enables women to track their symptoms. It offers a marketplace for them to find doctors, exercise I was going to say trainers, exercise enthusiasts, anybody who can help them, menopause specialists. They can find all the professionals that can contribute to or help them along their way. It also has a AI component that you can ask questions, and I named her Emma. So after my grandmother, so Emma is there to help you. Yes, along the way. So you can ask Emma a question along the way. So the platform itself is catered toward the workplace. And my plan is to offer it to corporate wellness programs
Mhm.
because 1 in 10 women quit their job as a result of their symptoms that they're experiencing. They
Mhm.
quit their jobs because they can't handle it. Um, yes, so it's for the marketplace, it's for, excuse me, the workplace, and it's a tool that they can use. We can integrate it inside of an existing program that they may already have,
Mhm.
or it can be a standalone. So the goal is for them to get used to using it and track their symptoms. And once you get in and start tracking it, you'll be able to see the trends on what is impacting what you're doing, what your exercise is impacting your symptoms, how certain things that you eat is impacting your symptoms. And most people think that there's only one symptom in menopause. Yeah, and you meant, well, we talked about
Shoulder
frozen shoulder,
pain.
right? Well, most people think, oh, it's just hot flashes. Well, no,
Right.
there's almost 30 different symptoms that women can experience. Not all women going to get all of them.
Right.
Hopefully your mother only had frozen shoulder. Hopefully that's the only
And
one she
hot
had.
flashes.
And hot flashes, right. Yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
there's something for that too. I mean,
Right.
there's so many options today to help women. So my tool will be available through to medium to large corporations and companies for their employees. Like I said, we can be integrated into an existing program that they already have within the company, or it's a standalone.
Mhm.
And it can help women track their symptoms and be able to share that information when they go to their doctor. Another key fact is that doctors receive very little training in menopause. When I found that out, I was very, very disappointed because I mean, everybody, they say, talk to your doctor, talk to your doctor.
Yeah. It's
They're
awesome.
not, yeah, yeah. They get, I think someone told me that in medical school, they get like 2 weeks of training in menopause, if
Wow.
that. And a lot of training in fertility and all the other things, but
Hmm.
not so much in menopause. So we've got to change that, and that's what I'm hoping to do is to address the concerns of women 40 plus going through perimenopause into menopause, so that when women who are entering into perimenopause and menopause, when they realize that they they need help, I want them to know that there are solutions for that, and that medical technology, all of those things are starting to catch up to our needs. So don't be weary. It's coming, and there are solutions.
Yeah. I'm I love that, and that's actually really fascinating. Your approach, what you're offering, how you're delivering it, I think it's needed. What you mentioned about the training that healthcare professionals get on menopause is alarming, and it only makes sense. I think I don't remember the exact numbers of the statistic, but women were just only recently included in research studies generally. So
That's
as it
right.
relates to like specific women's health issues, you can only imagine the gap that exists in the understanding of the full cycle of the care need. So solutions like yours are needed, and especially when it comes to tracking, because then it becomes like a collaborative experience. You're telling your doctor what your symptoms
That's
are
right.
when you experienced it, and then they're able to learn from you based off of what you're providing. So
There you go.
kudos
There
to
you
you. I
go.
think that something like smart menopause is definitely needed in this space. And that marketplace angle is really good too, because I know how hard it is to find qualified support. It's like, where do you even
Right.
turn when you're having these symptoms? You have
Right.
Google, but Google can only get you so far without giving you a headache. So
Right.
that's
And
really
our goal is to verify these providers to make sure that they've been vetted before we put them on the marketplace. So that's the goal.
absolutely. That's so cool. So I wanted to know, How has smart menopause in the conversation about a tool for menopause influenced some of the conversations that you're having with women going through it? What has their response been? Has it been, oh, I wish I would have had this sooner, or I'm excited to get my hands on it?
Right. Oh, all of them are like, send me the link. I want to download it. And it's like, it's not ready yet. They're like, when are you going to get it ready? Because I've been talking about this for some time. And I would say I'm at like 85% ready and hoping to launch it. I was hoping to launch it this month. So maybe we keep our fingers crossed doing Menopause Awareness Month here. Hopefully we'll be able to launch it and get it out in the hands. But what they're saying is, oh, I needed that, or um, yeah, taking something that I can take to my doctor that shows real time, stats based on the days. They don't have that. They might have their little notes that they've written, but this will show over a period of time. Being able to see a trend line is important. So the fact that we're doing that, I get that's a good thing.
Hmm.
I've gotten some recommendations, like I'm trying to think. There was one thing. Oh, like a rewards program.
Hmm.
One lady said, "Oh, well, will I get a reward for doing tracking on a regular basis?" I'm like, "Okay, maybe I'll add. Yeah, I can add. That's something I can add." So
Right.
yeah, and we're beta testing it first, and that's what I'm asking those feedback questions right now, so that we can cater the app to their needs.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. I think being at a beta testing stage, especially for something like this, is huge. So I think also too, the story that you're sharing is also so poignant, and people can understand and recognize either their lived experience or the experience of their mothers and their grandmothers. And with
Hmm.
that, I wanted to ask you a question on how society thinks about aging. How do you think society's views on aging are holding us back? And how do you think that a platform like Smart Menopause can help rewrite that story?
Yeah, there's, and I mentioned this earlier, a lot of myths about getting older and what menopause means. Um, it's, I tend to tell people that they think when they hear the word menopause, they think about their mother or they think about their grandmother. They don't think about the woman that is working in an office, that is managing a team, that is in her 40s, and they don't think that she could be going this. And she is really going through this. And she's going through the symptoms that come along with being in menopause. So I would say just to make sure we are sharing information when we have solutions like Smart Menopause, make sure we get the word out there and make sure that people know of that this is a resource that has been vetted and can be used, can be taken with you wherever you go. It's just like, your phone. Um, yeah, did I miss the first part of your question or second part of your question? I'm not sure if I answered
No,
all of it.
no, that was perfect. I was asking what story. So I was saying like
So,
the
yeah,
the story that the world is currently writing is one where we're kind of not even the authors. We're just
right.
kind of being told to deal with it. So
Right.
it makes a
And
lot of
we
sense.
and we're not. We're all about empowerment. This generation is all about empowerment, and we're gonna make a difference. We're gonna make a difference. There's a lot of challenges right now, socially, culturally, all of that. Well, we're part of it too. We're
Right.
part of it too.
Denise, I'm wanting to know a little bit more about you as well. So, do you mind sharing maybe where you grew up, what your background is from like pre-career, kind of what your interests were that made you who you are today?
Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Yes. I am number nine of 10 kids.
Wow.
I have, wow, yeah. I have five brothers and four sisters. It was 10 of us. I was born in Milton, Florida, which is in the panhandle of Florida, near Pensacola, a
Mhm.
small town. And I went off to school to Florida State, ended up moving to Atlanta and lived here for a number of years, not quite sure what I wanted to do, so I went to art school and graduated from art school. We moved to Tampa, Florida, and I lived in Florida, Tampa, Florida, for a number of years. And then I moved back to Atlanta. And all along, I have been growing my career and learning about myself. Um, when I was in high school, I was very involved in sports. I ran track, I played basketball, I was very outgoing, athletic. And as an adult, I realized I wanted to continue to be active. So that's kind of how I got into the fitness thing.
Mhm.
And I would go to classes and I'm looking at those instructors and I'm like, I could do that. They should be paying me to do that. I'm here anyway, right? So I went on and got certified to teach and been teaching, well, was teaching. I'm not teaching now, but I taught for 23 years as a group fitness instructor. And just along the way, been growing my career as it relates to fitness, as it relates to professional, my craft of marketing, been growing that. And what I do on the side, all of that has kind of paved the way for me to bring this from work into what I do on my building my business. So they go hand in hand, and I'm very fortunate. I love what I do. I love what I do. I mean, I can't say it enough to be able to do the stuff that you enjoy doing. I'm I'm happy.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Being able to do what you love is the biggest gift. I
That
think
is.
my job is being able to sit here and talk to you, so I'm very, very grateful to be able to do that. And I'm curious, after spending 2 decades in teaching group fitness, I'm sure you're
Uh-huh.
able to see some trends in terms of when it comes to support. So, how, or what do you think it looks like when someone is actually supported in their health journey? Did you feel like you saw sometimes people coming with friends or their family members that kind of supported them in their consistency? Or you were noticing more of kind of people experiencing their health in a more individualized, personalized experience?
I think anytime you can get help, when you talked about the care thing, I tend to think about my mother when she was ill and how my siblings, of course, having a large family, it helped having other people to step in when one can't be there, another one can be there. So it was very helpful from that standpoint to have siblings to work. So anytime you can have a group or a network or friends to lean on. I think it's definitely helpful to know that and comforting to know that you're not in it alone. I think that that's one reason why my community excelled during the pandemic was because we were not alone. We felt like we were all together. We were all doing this together. So as long as we can build community, which Smart Menopause will do that as well, it will be a place where you can communicate and share stories and have live events as well as online events. So it's a community to share. So anytime you can share and be a part of something with other people, I think it's a win-win. And I think starting the conversations as it relates to menopause is so important. Of course, I mentioned talk to your mother, your aunts. Start the conversation because that's where and then once she knows that you're going through it, then she'll be able to hold your hand along the way. But
Mhm.
unless you share, the anxiety or whatever it is that you're dealing with or the symptoms, then they can't help you. So if you can share those things with people, let them know. Because I found out that I was going through it and my friends were going through it. So they couldn't help me, so I had to go outside. Yeah, I had to go outside of, my immediate family to get help. And so, yeah, as long as you can find other people to work with, it may not be a group. It could be just one person. It could be two people. It doesn't have to be a huge network. But, find one or two people you can bond with that have similar interests, um, that are going through what you're going through or can share with you along the way. I think it would, make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a really burning question while you were talking. It just slipped my mind. Oh, I was curious. We know being a founder is not easy, especially when you are a multi-time founder, also a founder that might have another job or other interests. So I'm curious, what do you do to take care of and pour into yourself?
To pour into myself, what
Yeah,
do I do? Oh, I I work out, of course.
we see the
I
arms.
yes, let's see. I work out. My husband and I, we hike. We like to hike. When we travel, we make sure we do walking and we hike in places that we travel. But another gift, not a gift, but another pleasure that I have is that of art. I love art. I mentioned that I went to art school earlier, and it was because I can draw. I told you I was a graphic designer as well. So I serve on the board of an African American art museum here in Atlanta, and I'm a collector. So when I travel, I always go to museums. No matter what city I go to, I always find time to go to a museum and visit the museum. So that's something that I love to do. Um, Family, church, Sunday dinner, the simple things, just staying active. Those are the things that I enjoy.
So I'm curious, as we start to wrap up a little bit, what is looking ahead? What is your biggest vision for Smart Menopause?
My biggest vision for Smart Menopause is to be in as many corporate or Fortune 500 companies in their wellness programs as possible. Because I feel like that's where people are in mass numbers. So if we can be in those corporations, we can provide the information and the tools and the resources to such a large group. I feel like it will funnel down as well once it's adopted into the larger corporations. I feel like it will filter down and it'll get more exposure. So that would, to me, would be ideal for us at this point. Um, yeah, just getting
Getting out
out,
in front of
getting
the
into the,
customers,
that's right,
getting
getting
those
to the
customers.
customer. Got to get it in the hands and as many as possible. And the large corporations already have those networks established. You know what I mean? So it'll be easier to get within the system. Whereas the medium to small, it's going to be a little harder. Maybe. I'm still figuring it out, but
And I'm sure once you also get started with that customer acquisition, you'll see that a lot of the employee wellness programs tend to use similar third-party vendors. So
that's
once you
true.
start to establish those relationships and really prove
Yes,
that ROI, it's going to be really
yes,
easy to get into the next
yes.
and the next and the next.
Yes, exactly. And that was like I was telling you earlier about learning the industry. I did not know that. I didn't know that they were HR brokers, that I didn't know, that they were middlemen. I didn't
Right.
know any of that. So yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, and networking and yeah, I'm growing. And that was something I wanted to say too. And I'm glad we kind of circle back around to stay curious. We have to stay curious about our health, about our travels, about what we do at work with our businesses. We got to stay curious and make sure that we are always thinking ahead and finding a way to continue to think forward thinking and to always ask why, just those kind of things. That's been my motto. Just always be curious and ask why, if
Right.
possible. Yeah,
Absolutely. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
that's right. That's right.
Amazing. Deniece, so how can we follow you and support you as you're continuing to grow?
Oh, thank you. Yes, you can follow me on LinkedIn. It's of course Deniece Griffin. We also have a page for smart interval health. Is we have a page for interval health, and we also have a Instagram, and that is smart menopause underscore official.
Okay.
Smart menopause underscore official. So I would
Perfect.
love the follows and connections on LinkedIn so I can continue to share our story with your audience.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Denise. It has been a pleasure to sit down with you today, and I'm sure this conversation speaks exactly to everyone that we serve here at Criado. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your insight, and I'm so excited to see Smart Menopause across all of the Fortune 500 companies very soon.
From your word, from your mouth to their ears, right?
There we
Okay.
go. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Bye.
time. Bye-bye.